Third Temple ceremony has just happened. You won't believe why. Every passing day we are encountering signs that warn us about end times. You might be thinking, what happened now? The Third Temple ceremony just happened, and do you know what this means? If you don't, then let's get into this video to get all the details about the Third Temple ceremony. The Third Temple ceremony is one of the signs that leads us toward end times and rapture. In this video, we'll see how the Third Temple ceremony is related to rapture and what evidence we have to support this. The water libation took place on October 12, 2022, during the SUKKOT holidays, to prepare the Third Temple. What is the Third Temple? The Third Temple is a term used to describe a future structure that is expected to be built in Jerusalem, Israel, as a replacement for the Second Temple, which was destroyed by the Romans in 70 CE. It is a central concept in Jewish eschatology and has been a topic of religious and political discussion for centuries. Some Jewish groups advocate for its rebuilding as a symbol of the restoration of the Jewish sovereignty in Israel, while others view it as a messianic prophecy that will be fulfilled in the end times. There's no consensus on when or how the Third Temple will be built, and its construction remains a matter of speculation and debate. SUKKOT holidays. The Feast of Tabernacles, also known as SUKKOT, is a Jewish holiday that is celebrated annually for 7 days in the fall. It commemorates the 40 years that the Israelites spent in the wilderness after leaving Egypt, during which time they lived in temporary shelters or tabernacles. The holiday is celebrated by building temporary huts, called sukkahs, eating meals in them, and waving the 4 species, palm branches, myrtle, willow, and etrog, in a specific manner during synagogue services. The holiday is considered one of the 3 pilgrimage festivals, along with Passover and Shavuot, during which Jews would make a pilgrimage to the temple in Jerusalem to offer sacrifices. Today, the Feast of Tabernacles is celebrated as a time of joy, reflection, and renewal, and is seen as a reminder of the importance of staying connected to one's roots and values. The Feast of Tabernacles and the Third Temple mentioned in the Scripture. The Feast of Tabernacles is frequently mentioned in Scripture, and 3 scriptural indications point to the existence of another temple. 1 Kings 8:2. And it was also during the Feast of Tabernacles. These are numerous instances in the Bible of events that took place at the Feast of Tabernacles, including the gathering of the Israelites who had returned to rebuild the temple. Water libation. It is said that the act of water libation is for preparation of the Third Temple, and this is how it's mentioned in Scripture. Isaiah 12:3. As of Tuesday, a full-dress recreation of the water libation as it was performed in the temple was staged in Jerusalem with several hundred participants, led by Kohanim and priestly guards, and musicians who were Levites. The ceremony served as a reenactment of the water libation ritual that was carried out in the temple. The process of the ceremony. The ceremony started at Sha'ar Hashpat, the Dung Gate, in Jerusalem's Old City, when attendees gathered Kohanim, or priests, wearing specially adorned robes as prescribed by Scripture, and Levites playing musical instruments. On drums, violin, guitar, and clarinet, the musically talented Levites led the ceremony as it wound down walkways in the valley below the Temple Mount. As they made their way from the old City of David's ruins via an Arab settlement and towards the Shiloach or Siloam spring, which was used during the time of the temple, the gathering chanted and danced. Stops in the procession were punctuated by the sound of 4-foot-long pure silver trumpets. The chief rabbi of Jerusalem, Rabbi Aryeh Stern, Rabbi Dov Lior, Rabbi Shmuel Eliyahu, Rabbi David Chai HaKohen, Rabbi Ra'am HaKohen, Rabbi Menachem Bornstein, Rabbi Yuri Cherky, and other eminent rabbis presided over the event. Rabbi Yisrael Ariel, the founder of the Temple Institute, was also present. The gold water jug was at the front of the procession. The jug was filled at the Shiloach pool. The procession ascended the mountain's summit once more. In an open space next to the western wall, a mock altar and its accessories had been set up. Large, lush willow branches were used to decorate the altar just as they were in the temple. The priestly blessing served as the ceremony's climax, and the once every 7 years Hakel ceremony followed. About water libation. The water libation is a part of the oral tradition carried down from Moses, while not being specifically required by the Torah. The water libation was the main event of the joyful festival of SUKKOT. The event would continue for 15 hours in the temple, and the celebrations that went along with it would go on all night until the temple service resumed the following morning. The SUKKOT celebrations attracted people from all over the world, making it a global day of worship for God. On the final 6 days of the 7-day SUKKOT holiday, a libation of water was made at the morning ceremony in the same manner as a libation of wine. From the temple, Kohanim descended to the Shiloach spring at the foot of Mount Moriah, where they filled the flask with 3 logs, about 2 pints, of spring water, before returning to the temple. Then 2 Kohanim went up to the stone altar in the inner court of the temple and set 2 silver cups there. Both liquids flowed into holes in the altar that had been carefully created for this ceremony, as one Kohen poured water from the silver flask and the second Kohen poured wine at the same time. When the third temple is constructed, the significance of the Shiloach pool, also known as Siloam in English and Silwan in Arabic, will once again become clear. For those who made the yearly journey to Jerusalem for the biblical feasts, the pool of Siloam served as their starting point. They used the water to ritually cleanse themselves before making their way up to the inner court of the Temple Mount on foot to offer their sacrifices. The pool, which is southeast of the old city of Jerusalem's walls, receives its water from the Gihon spring via the Siloam Tunnel, also known as Hezekiah's Tunnel. Besieging forces were unable to reach the spring's resources because of the new pool and tunnel. According to archaeologists, the waters continued to flow south during the Second Temple period and were gathered in an extra, larger pool. This pool was found in the summer of 2004, and work to expose it is still ongoing. Shemitah and the arrival of the Messiah. The year following Shemitah is fortunate for the coming of the Messiah. It should be remembered. The following verse from Amos is found in the tractate of Sanhedrin 97a of the Babylonian Talmud. Amos 9:11. Will I erect David's collapsed booth, or sukkah, on that day? More about the verse. Amid a prophecy concerning God bringing Israel back from exile among the nations, this verse is found. The Talmud says, "Among the accounts of the days before the Messiah, as it is written, I will rebuild David's destroyed tabernacle on that day." The 7-year cycle, at the end of which the Son of David will appear in the first year, is what our rabbis stated would be fulfilled by this verse. 2 weeks ago, on Rosh Hashanah, the Shemitah sabbatical year concluded. The Messiah will arrive in the first year following the Shemitah, according to the Talmud. It should be remembered that the Talmud extensively portrays the difficult times leading up to the coming of the Messiah. The Third Temple and Rapture. We already know that the ceremony took place pointing out that rebuilding their temple is near, and this is a sign for the end times or rapture. How the Third Temple and end times are related. Christians believe that the rebuilding of the Third Temple is a significant event in the end times and may play a role in the fulfillment of certain prophetic passages in the Bible. In these views, the rebuilding of the Third Temple is seen as a sign of the end times and a precursor to the second coming of Christ. Significance of the Third Temple for us. What a Third Temple means to us. Even though the building of the spiritual temple Paul talked of is already under progress, and even though a physical temple will exist throughout the millennium, it is still unknown if the Jews would build another physical temple before the return of Jesus Christ. The most significant use of our time, as well as the most significant thing we can do for ourselves, is to participate in God's spiritual temple. And we are done for now. If you enjoyed this video, then please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel for more.